not be able to make it. Next, I'd like to ask Don Morris from the Human Collective in Motion to come up.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for being here also. Can I start by asking how many people in the room are involved in providing safe access to people with medicine? Majority of you? Okay. We believe that we need to take the reins, like Mike's been saying, and start regulating ourselves. The government has said, the state government has said, the people of Oregon have said, fine, you can have medical marijuana, but they don't tell people where to get it. And they don't tell people how it can be grown if they're not able to grow it for themselves, or if they're lucky enough to find a grower to grow for them. Human Collective is about providing safe access to those people. But there are no rules, there's no regulations, you have nothing to go on but common sense. And I think more than anything else, a lot of people have different opinions about Mike and Jen and Stony Girl, but I think they're trying to help people with, you know, here's how you can operate, and here's some common sense. We do the same thing. I don't think you have to be part of a franchise to do it, but if that's what you want to do, then this is a free country and you can do that. All that being said, just about everything Mike said tonight is something that we need to strive for as a community of business people. We need to take what we're doing out of the black hole, out of the back alley, and be transparent and not be afraid to do that. I mean, we're already risking, let's face it, we're already risking our liberty doing what we're doing. So you might as well be proud of it and put it out there and use your common sense when you're doing that. There are ways to operate a business that lead people to believe what you want them to believe, which is that you're operating a business for the benefit of the patients, not for your pocketbook. That's Oregon Medical Marijuana Act. That's what this is about. If you want to be a trailblazer and be belligerent and be in people's faces and show up at the State House in tie-dye, go right ahead. But that's what the media likes to focus on, and they turn us into a bunch of monkeys. If you can show up in a suit and a tie and address a senator or a representative properly and have a debate with them and try and argue with them and educate them, we're going to get a lot farther as a group. So perception is reality. For those of you who might be running some sort of a dispensary or providing safe access, I ask you, would it be so difficult to dispense your medicine in pill vials, just like they do in California or in Washington, for instance, with a childproof cap? Put a label on it. Have a clean, well-lit establishment, not, like I said, a dark room with a big scary guy monitoring the door. These are not welcoming places for people. At Human Collective, as an example, the majority of our clientele is well over 50. And a lot of them, like Mike was saying, have never experienced marijuana, medical or otherwise, before. And they're afraid. They don't know what to do. We take them through it, let them know what the different modalities that are available to them, vaporizers, whatever, and we do it in a way that they don't feel threatened. And I think we need to do that. And if the general public, and in particular law enforcement, sees that we're starting to set standards for ourselves as an industry, they're going to show us a little more respect. One of the things Mike touched on that we wholeheartedly believe in is, yes, you are able to have a £1.50 for a card holder, right? But let's face it, if you're running a dispensary or a clinic, you're there. You're there 5, 6, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There's absolutely no reason for you to be dispensing a pound of marijuana at a time to anybody. Because the foregone conclusion of the general public and law enforcement is that the person you're transferring it to, that's reimbursing you for that, is going to go and sell it, resell it on the black market. And you're becoming part of what you're supposed to be trying to eliminate, which is the back alley dealing. You're just becoming a middle guy. So by, one of the things that we're asking people to do, and I'm going to get into this in just a second, is to develop these standards and say, I'm going to take a pledge to operate my business, my dispensary, whatever, in this manner. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to set a limit of 1 or 2 ounces a week per patient, and that's it. Yes, there are times, depending on how you operate, it might be much more profitable, and you're going to see that business go elsewhere or go away from you. But you're going to be doing the right thing, and they're not going to come after you. You're not going to be putting yourself under the microscope. We're all being watched. I used to be in food and beverage, and they send people in to check your bartenders in your bar all the time. Underage drinkers, phony IDs, you name it, they try and get you. If any one of you think that you're not being visited by undercover police officers and narcotics officers and whatnot that are checking out how you're doing business, you are sadly mistaken. We can pretty much spot them ourselves. We get them all the time, every month. So if you're, again, perception is reality. If the perception is you're running a legitimate business and you're not, you have rules that we're going to start living by, then I think we're going to be accepted a lot more. We have found an organization in Washington called the Greener Business Bureau. It's basically for the area around Tacoma. And there are now 17 dispensaries that belong to this organization, and they have a standard of practices. We're going to be getting this information out very shortly to everyone in Oregon that is running a clinic or a dispensary and providing safe access. It's totally voluntary whether or not you want to belong to this organization. But I'll tell you this, they've only been in existence 6 months in Tacoma, and we all read about the raids up in Tacoma and Seattle, right? Not one of their places has been raided. Actually, law enforcement is now, and the municipalities that Mike and Jen refer to up in Washington are now asking people who are applying for a license for a dispensary, they're saying, are you a member of this organization? And if they're not, they're less likely to get their license. Why? Because the legislature in Washington, like ours, has not enacted any kind of guidelines or rules. So the industry is policing themselves, and law enforcement likes what they're seeing. And so do this town and city fathers in the different municipalities throughout Washington. This is going to grow. And eventually, when it does come time for us to have a place at the table, like Mike said, with our legislators in Oregon, we're going to have the groundwork available for them and say, look, this is how we've been operating. Let's just take what we're doing and make these the rules and make these the state guidelines. Unfortunately, what's happening in Spokane now is nobody did that. So the state or the city finally said, enough is enough. We can't have a dispensary on every corner. The public's up in arms. You're all going to shut down. We've written our rules. Here they are. You can open up, but now you're going to toe the line to what we say. Apparently, nobody had a place at the table in Spokane. Am I right? Mike?
Yeah, the feds definitely shut that area down.
So,
I think
the
other issues that we've seen time and time again all across California, Colorado, and Washington is that instead of us approaching our cities, it's been our opponents that have approached the cities. We need to be proactive and take our side.
Exactly. If we're proactive, we will gain credibility by coming up with our own set of operating rules and standards. Is it going to be easy to walk the talk? No, it's not. Just like when you've got a guy standing in front of you that wants to buy a pound and you're thinking things that you probably shouldn't be thinking, and you're going to turn this guy away because it's going to be difficult. But it's something that we need to start doing. We need to think about this. There are a lot of other things that you can do. I invite any of you to Human Collective and see how we operate. I'm not saying we're the best. I'm not saying we're the model, but you know, we're in Washington County, which is one of the more difficult places to operate in, and you know, just come and see what we're doing. And if there's something, any information we can give you, whatever, we're happy to share. We think we're all in this together, and like Mike said, we need to cooperate and come together and move this forward in some manner. And doing it like this, with an organization like this, I believe is going to do just that. We'll be able to go to the legislature with some credibility and educate them. We met 3 weeks ago with a state senator who told me that the reason there's so many damn people in the OMMP program is that those licenses just don't expire. You know, these guys are making our laws. They're running our, you know, impacting our lives, and they know squat. It's up to everyone in this room. We all have a vested interest to go down there and educate them.
And that's another issue. Many of our opponents, the folks who bring bills every single session, run unopposed every election cycle. So it's up to us to stand up and run for office and make a difference by arguing with these guys publicly and making them change their position and teaching them what our law is, making them see reason.
Now, everything I'm saying really it pertains to what we now call the medicalizers and not the legalizers. With all due respect to normal, I believe that, you know, this is OMMP. The word medical's in there. That's what we're here talking about. That's what Mike and Jen are helping people to set up, the safe access to medical marijuana, not for everybody. Because that's not the law right now. Someday, maybe. But I like to think that that's still, you know, going to be a ways off, but I like to think we're headed in that direction. The more people that we can gain credibility with in the general public by having our own set of operating standards, the more the general public is going to say, well, yeah, I know so-and-so, and they have medical marijuana, and this guy, I know he smokes, and all of a sudden it's not a big bad thing. Everyone's going to know somebody who is on medical marijuana. Right now, we still have a situation in the state where people are afraid to say that they have a car because there's a stigma to it.